Hello and welcome. This is the first of several videos in which I will be explaining the C programming language to someone who is already familiar with C++. The two languages are quite similar, with C++ being a descendant of C, and yet some of the differences can be a little bit confusing and intimidating, and so I'm hoping these videos will take away that intimidation and make the transition more comfortable. I'm going to be working with the Make automated build system in order to both keep me from making mistakes from the command line as I repeatedly build things, and also so that I can conveniently build all of the examples I'll be putting together. I'm going to create several simple programs that kind of conceptually build on each other, and I'm going to be putting them all in the same folder here. So this will just make it easier for me to keep track of things, even though none of the programs themselves are going to be that complicated. So I'm going to start by creating that make file in Vim. I will first set a variable called cxx to be GCC. That'll be the compiler I will be working with. And go ahead at this point and set some flags. I'm going to turn on all warnings. And then I'm going to create a rule called all. And this rule, at this point at least, will actually not do anything itself directly, but rather it'll have a list of dependencies, and each of those dependencies will refer to another rule that will build one of the example programs that I'll be constructing. So today I'm going to build a program called hello. I won't put anything on this line, as again, this rule itself won't invoke any commands. It will simply cause other rules to execute. And then we'll create the hello rule. So hello will be dependent on hello.c, and it will simply invoke the compiler with the flags, and we'll compile the file hello.c, and we will set its output to be the executable hello. Okay, so I will go ahead and attempt, there we go, to write this file and quit Vim. Now I'm going to test this make file. It'll throw an error at this point. As you can see, it's unhappy because it can't find one of the dependencies for the hello rule, specifically hello.c. So we're going to create that now, again using Vim. In order to do I/O inside of C, or using the C programming language, we have to do things a little differently than we're used to in C++. So at this point, I would be using a #include to bring in IOStream if I was writing a C++ program. We don't have IOStream available to us in C. In fact, most of the changes you're going to see here involve not having access to a certain feature of C++, which again shouldn't be surprising because C++ built on C. So much of what we're going to see in terms of the differences are going to be different ways to accomplish the same work without using things like classes and objects and so forth. We also have then a different set of libraries that we will be dependent on. So in this case, instead of including IOStream, I will include standard I/O if I can type. Okay, we don't need to worry about namespaces. That's something that we got with C++ that we don't deal with here in C. However, just like any C++ program, a C program needs to have one and exactly one main function, and it will also return an int, just as we did in C++. Now, to the heart of this program, which is a simple hello world program, how do we actually print something to the screen? So instead of using the cout object that we had available to us in the IOStream library in C++, we're going to use instead a function. So most of what we will do in C is going to be accomplished through functions. And in this case, the function we're going to use is called printf. The F stands for formatted, and we'll talk more about that in future videos. But for our purposes right now, this is a function that will allow us to print a string to the screen. And so we'll just give it an argument. In this case, I'll use a string literal, and it's simply going to say hello world. and then end with a new line. Close that literal again with double quotes. So far, we're seeing many things very similar to C++, and that's that. So I'll write this. Actually, I'm just going to write it. I'm not going to close Vim. I'll just background it in case I've made any mistakes. I'll run make, and it has built hello. Go ahead and execute it. Voila, hello world. This time C style.